1963. Derinkuyu, Cappadocia, Central Turkey. The air inside the stone house is thick with dust. A local man swings a hammer against the basement wall. The sound echoes strangely, hollow, deeper than expected. He pauses. Another strike. This time, part of the wall collapses inward. Cold air rushes from the darkness beyond. The man steps back, lantern trembling in his hand. Beyond the broken wall lies not another room, but a passage descending into blackness. At first, nobody understood what had been uncovered beneath Derinkuyu. The Cappadocia region was already famous for its strange landscape. Towering rock formations, honeycombed cliffs, ancient cave dwellings. Volcanic tough stone formed millions of years ago by Mount Ursiai's eruptions. For centuries, families had carved homes and chapels into the soft rock. Underground rooms were common in this region, but this was different. The passage behind the basement wall did not end after a few meters. It continued downward, then downward again. Turkish archaeologists explored with lanterns, ropes, and mapping equipment. What they found stunned them. Beneath Derinkuyu lay an enormous underground city, a vast labyrinth descending nearly 85 meters into the earth. Multiple levels connected by corridors, hidden stairways, vertical shafts. Massive circular stone doors, some weighing hundreds of kilograms, sealing entire sections from intruders. The deeper they descended, the more impossible it seemed. Kitchens blackened by ancient smoke. Storage rooms filled with grain silos. Wine presses carved directly into the stone. Animal stables deep underground. Water wells reaching down into the bedrock. Communal sleeping chambers for entire families. Hidden churches with carved altars. Even schools and meeting halls. This was not a temporary shelter. It was a functioning underground civilization. As many as 20,000 people may once have lived inside Derinkuyu. Families could survive underground for months without returning to the surface. And somehow, ancient engineers had made it breathable. More than 15,000 narrow air shafts pierced the rock above. The main shaft extended more than 55 meters deep. It also served as a protected water source during sieges. Even today, walking through Derinkuyu feels unnatural. The tunnels are intentionally narrow, you must bend your shoulders to pass. Footsteps echo endlessly through the darkness. The deeper levels grow colder, quieter, until the outside world disappears. This city was not built for comfort. It was built for survival. Earliest foundations may date back to at least the 8th century BCE, possibly created by the Phrygians, an ancient Indo-European civilization of Anatolia. Over centuries, new civilizations expanded it further underground. Persians, Greeks, Byzantine Christians. Each generation deepened the tunnels during invasions and persecution. Entire populations could disappear beneath the earth within hours. Tunnels extending for kilometers connected nearby cities like Kimakli. Despite decades of excavation, only a fraction has been explored. Many chambers remain unmapped, hidden, waiting in darkness. For centuries, Cappadocia's people lived surrounded by secrets beneath their feet. Above ground, the region looked almost unreal. Valleys shaped by volcanic eruptions, cone-like rock pillars rising from the earth, like ancient monuments carved by giants. Travelers crossing central Anatolia called Cappadocia a landscape from another world. But below those windswept valleys existed something even stranger. A second world, invisible, buried in darkness. As archaeologists pushed deeper into Derinkuyu during the late 20th century, they began realizing the underground city was far more sophisticated than believed. This was not simply a collection of caves dug randomly into soft rock. The city had structure, planning, defensive strategy. Every level served a purpose. The upper floors contained stables and storage areas, designed to isolate animals and food supplies from living quarters deeper below. Smoke-blackened kitchens suggested long-term habitation. Ventilation shafts carried away heat and fumes while bringing fresh air underground. Lower levels became increasingly protected. Narrow corridors forced visitors to move single file. Sharp turns limited visibility. Stone doors shaped like enormous millstones rolled shut from inside, sealing entire tunnels in seconds. Some doors had openings letting defenders attack intruders with spears. You begin to understand the terrifying logic behind the architecture. This city was designed for siege warfare. Its builders expected enemies. Historians believe Cappadocia was a dangerous crossroads throughout antiquity. Empires rose and collapsed across Anatolia for thousands of years. Armies moved through: Assyrians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Mongols. For ordinary people, survival often depended on disappearing. Derinkuyu offered exactly that. Communities retreated with food, water, livestock, and tools. Once doors closed, invaders never knew thousands hid beneath their feet. Ancient sources suggest refuges remained occupied for weeks or months. Remarkably, the city could function independently from the surface world. Archaeologists discovered deep wells carefully protected from contamination, preventing enemies above from poisoning the water supply. Evidence of oil lamps, primitive sanitation, communal kitchens, and designated religious spaces. Near deeper levels stood a cruciform church with vaulted ceilings carved into stone. Nearby rooms appeared to function as religious schools or monasteries. Byzantine Christians expanded the complex between the 5th and 10th centuries CE. When waves of conflict swept across eastern Anatolia, Christianity itself was struggling for survival in parts of the region. Byzantine Arab raids created constant instability across Cappadocia. Underground cities became sanctuaries for Christian communities hiding from attacks. Yet the deeper archaeologists explored, the stranger the city became. Some tunnels descended far beyond practical living spaces. Others ended abruptly in sealed walls or collapsed shafts leading nowhere. Chambers isolated, accessible only through narrow crawl spaces. Why? Some researchers believe Derinkuyu evolved gradually over countless generations. Imagine living underground for months. No sunlight, no open sky, flickering oil lamps, children growing up hearing echoes through endless tunnels. The underground city protected its inhabitants, but it also trapped them. If one of the largest underground cities on Earth stayed hidden until 1963, what else may still lie buried beneath Cappadocia? The deeper historians studied Derinkuyu, the more difficult the underground city became to explain. At first glance, the purpose seemed obvious: survival, a hidden refuge beneath the earth. But as researchers mapped more chambers, ventilation systems, tunnels, and defensive structures, new questions emerged. Questions with no clear answers even today. Who truly built the first levels of the city? And why did generation after generation continue expanding it for centuries? The official historical explanation points toward the Phrygians, an ancient Anatolian people, who emerged after the fall of the Hittite Empire around the 12th century BCE. Skilled in stonework and architecture, they likely understood how to carve stable chambers into Cappadocia's soft volcanic rock. Yet there is little direct evidence connecting them conclusively to the earliest construction. No inscriptions, no founding records, no preserved tools buried in the deepest levels. Only theories built from fragments of archaeology. Some historians argue the underground city evolved gradually rather than being created all at once. Small storage caves may have expanded into temporary shelters. Temporary shelters became permanent refuges. Permanent refuges transformed into a subterranean network over centuries of warfare and instability. It is the most rational explanation. And yet, certain parts of Derinkuyu seem almost too advanced for purely improvised expansion. The ventilation system, for example, required astonishing engineering knowledge. Air shafts had to maintain circulation across multiple levels while preventing collapse. Temperatures underground remained remarkably stable year-round. Water systems were carefully protected from contamination. This was not chaotic digging. It was organized design. archaeologists discovered evidence suggesting some deeper levels may predate later Byzantine expansions by many centuries. But dating underground structures is notoriously difficult. Organic material decays slowly in dry subterranean environments. Many chambers were reused repeatedly by different civilizations. As a result, timelines remain uncertain, and uncertainty creates doubt. Some researchers believe Derinkuyu may represent only one surviving piece of a much larger underground culture. More than 200 subterranean settlements have now been identified across the region. Some are connected by tunnels. Others appear completely isolated. The nearby underground city of Kemakli shares striking similarities with Derinkuyu, including storage rooms, churches, ventilation shafts, and rolling stone doors. In some places, tunnels between the cities may extend for several kilometers beneath the surface. If true, this changes everything. Ancient populations were not simply hiding underground temporarily. They were adapting to underground life on a regional scale. Some historians point towards centuries of political instability as the explanation. Anatolia stood at the crossroads of empires for millennia. Hittites, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Seljuks, and Mongols all fought across these lands. Entire populations were repeatedly displaced, conquered, or persecuted. Underground cities offered survival where surface settlements could not. But others remain unconvinced. Why invest enormous labor into expanding chambers far deeper than necessary for temporary refuge? Why construct religious schools underground? Why create living quarters for thousands? And perhaps most mysterious of all, why were some sections intentionally sealed? Archaeologists encountered blocked tunnels and hidden chambers deliberately closed off in antiquity. Walls appeared constructed specifically to conceal older passageways behind them. Was this done for structural safety, defense, or to hide something forgotten over time? Ground-penetrating radar has revealed possible voids beyond mapped sections. Ancient communities may have spent weeks underground during invasions. Children were likely born underground. Religious ceremonies echoed through stone halls. Ancient people believed the safest place in the world was underground. Today, tourists descend into Derinkuyu carrying smartphones and electric lanterns. Steel railings line certain corridors. Soft lights illuminate ancient stone walls. Voices echo through tunnels once filled with fear, prayer, and silence. But even now, standing deep beneath Cappadocia, it is impossible to escape the feeling that the underground city is still hiding something. Because despite decades of excavation, researchers admit a simple truth. They still do not fully understand Derinkuyu. Only a limited portion of the underground complex has been opened to the public. Many lower passages remain inaccessible due to structural instability, flooding risks, or lack of proper excavation equipment. Beyond the mapped sections lie collapsed corridors disappearing into darkness, places no modern archaeologist has entered. Ground surveys continue revealing anomalies beneath the surrounding region. Hidden voids, possible tunnels, entire unexplored chambers. It raises a haunting possibility. Derinkuyu may still be incomplete on modern maps. And if one underground city of this scale remained hidden until the 20th century, how many others may still sleep beneath Anatolia? Archaeologists now know Cappadocia contains one of the largest concentrations of subterranean settlements on Earth. More than 200 underground cities and cave complexes have been identified throughout the region. Some are small refuges. Others rival Derinkuyu in complexity. Yet many remain barely studied. In certain villages, locals still discover hidden rooms accidentally while renovating homes or digging foundations. New chambers appear behind walls. Forgotten tunnels emerge beneath streets. In a few cases, modern buildings unknowingly sit atop ancient underground networks. The Earth itself seems layered with lost worlds. And still, the greatest mystery remains unanswered. Who first imagined building a city beneath the ground? Not a cave. Not a bunker. an entire civilization hidden below the surface. Some historians believe necessity alone drove the construction. In a region repeatedly devastated by invasions and religious conflict, survival demanded innovation. Underground life became an extreme but effective response to centuries of instability. Others suspect something deeper shaped Cappadocia's subterranean culture, a tradition passed across generations, knowledge inherited over centuries. Perhaps the earliest builders discovered natural caves and slowly expanded them over time. Or perhaps forgotten civilizations beneath recorded history carved the first chambers long before written records survived. No evidence proves either theory completely, and so the debate continues. There are also mysteries inside the city itself that remain unresolved. Certain tunnels appear to lead nowhere. Some chambers have no obvious practical purpose. Other areas seem abandoned mid-construction, as if workers suddenly stopped digging and never returned. Why? Disease? Political collapse? Or changing technology that made underground refuge less necessary over time? By the Byzantine era, Derinkuyu had become deeply connected to Christian communities seeking protection during regional conflict. But eventually, the underground city faded from widespread use. Families still used portions for storage and shelter into the modern era, yet much of the deeper complex slowly disappeared from memory. Entire generations lived above hidden corridors they no longer understood. Until that moment in 1963, one broken basement wall, one rush of cold air from the darkness, and suddenly, a lost city returned to the world. Still waiting, still unfinished, still hiding its final secrets beneath the earth.